Before we start the podcast, I wanted to make you aware of the free vocab worksheet available for you to access right now for this very episode you are about to listen to. It has some of the episode's best native expressions along with their definitions for a non-native learner so that you can keep up with the conversation you are about to hear. Find the link in the show notes or head to thebritishenglishpodcast.com/worksheet. That's thebritishenglishpodcast.com/worksheet.
Hey there, Ryan Reynolds here. It's a new year, and you know what that means. No, not the diet. Resolutions. A way for us all to try and do a little bit better than we did last year. And my resolution, unlike big wireless, is to not be a raging and raise the price of wireless on you every chance I get. Give it a try at mintmobile.com/switch.
$45 upfront payment required, equivalent to $15 per month. New customers on first 3-month plan only. Taxes and fees extra. Speed slower above 40 gigabytes on unlimited. See mintmobile.com for details.
Hello, and welcome to another episode of the British English Podcast. If you're here for the first time, then welcome to the show, although I do encourage you to start from the beginning at Season 1, Episode 1, as your host, me, Charlie, has been on a bit of a journey over the last 4 years. Sorry, I should say I've been on a bit of a journey over the last 4 years, and I'd like to think you'd enjoy accompanying me on that journey. So I'll see you in 200 episodes time. For the seasoned listener, welcome back. Welcome back. I always value your listenership. And today I'd like to take you into the world of psychology and blend it with British culture. But of course, you'll be getting exposed to a ton of British English to level up your language skills. Do you ever listen to this podcast and think, am I coming away having actually learnt the new vocabulary that I am hearing? Well, if you're unsure, I highly recommend that you grab this episode's free vocabulary worksheet that I have made for you. Grab it now and continue listening to this episode whilst expanding your vocabulary for free. Find the link in the show notes or go to thebritishenglishpodcast.com/worksheet. That's thebritishenglishpodcast.com/worksheet. Now, if you didn't know, or perhaps forgot, how dare you, I graduated from university with a degree in psychology. And while we don't ask how well I actually did, we come away from this all understanding that I can read your mind. I have the power of a hypnotherapist, or perhaps even Charles Xavier, aka Professor X from X-Men. And with this power, I'm going to take you through a brilliant snippet from a book I've been enjoying recently called Understanding the British, a hilarious guide from Apologising to Wimbledon by Adam Fletcher. And I'll put the link to it in the show notes, and it's on Amazon and I'm sure elsewhere. And I actually managed to interview the author, Adam Fletcher, so he will be on the show in person, I think next week, in a season-based episode, meaning Academy members will be getting video vocab reviews, grammar lessons and pronunciation lessons, breaking down the intonation and rhythm of our voices. So get excited for that. But to give you a preview to the book, or an appetizer perhaps, we've got a bite-sized episode today going over a chapter in his book called The Hierarchy of British Needs. And this is why I was just banging on about my degree in psychology, because this is playing with a very famous psychologist's work called Maslow's Hierarchy of Needs. And this is so widespread these days, you don't need to be Professor X to appreciate it. I'd say most of my friends and family know this pyramid-shaped diagram. I think it's become very popular in business as marketing, quote-unquote, marketing experts like to reference it to make it seem like they know how people think. and so they know how to make people buy, which is cute because, I'm Professor X. This is child's play in terms of manipulating the human mind. Just stop wondering whether I got a first, a 2-1 or a 2-2 or a third. It's not interesting, okay? Move on. But I am Professor X, okay? But while you may know about this diagram, not all of your fellow listeners or classmates may know about it. So we're going to very quickly explain it so that we're all on the same page, and then we can look at the same page of Adam Fletcher's book, Understanding the British, and see how he manipulates Maslow's hierarchy of needs into a British version so brilliantly. Okay, the OG, the original gangster to this one is Abraham Maslow. So in the 1940s, he essentially created a pyramid-shaped diagram that explains what motivates human behavior. Picture a triangle with 5 layers, each representing a different level of needs. You can't move up to the next level until you've satisfied the layer below. And at the base of the pyramid, at the bottom, we have physiological needs. This is survival stuff, the bare essentials: food, water, shelter, and sleep. Without these, you're in survival mode and can't think about anything else. Next up, we have safety needs. So once you've eaten and got a roof over your head, you start craving security and stability, right? Think things like job security, a safe environment, and let's face it, a good deal on your energy bill these days. Now, the middle of the pyramid brings us to love and belonging. Now we're getting into relationships, friends, family, and being part of a community. This is where your WhatsApp group chats, your Sunday roast with mates, and calling your mum for a weekly catch-up all come in. We humans need connection. Climbing up, we reach esteem needs. Esteem needs. This is where we want recognition, respect, and a bit of self-confidence. Maybe you're smashing it at work. Your mates tell you you're a legend, or someone compliments your new trainers. These things give us that little boost of self-worth. Can't imagine the Dalai Lama getting a boost of self-worth if somebody complimented his new trainers. I mean, does he even wear trainers? Got so many questions for that man. Finally, at the very top of the pyramid, there's self-actualization. Oh, self-actualization, the holy grail. This is all about reaching your full potential, living your best life, and being the best version of yourself. For some, it might mean creating art, starting a business, running a marathon, or finally, finishing a Duolingo streak you started 4 years ago. The key idea is that you work your way up the pyramid one level at a time, because you can't really focus on writing a novel or climbing Mount Kilimanjaro if you're worried about where your next meal will come from, right? Or if you don't have a bed to sleep in. So it's all about priorities. So now that we're all on the same page about Maslow's pyramid, you'll see how Adam Fletcher has hilariously twisted this concept to suit the unique quirks of British culture. Because if there's one thing we know about the Brits, it's that our hierarchy of needs might look just a little bit different. Right. So now that we've refreshed our minds on Maslow's hierarchy of needs, let's take a look at what Adam Fletcher, in his brilliance, has done to reimagine it for the British. And honestly, I have to say, it's spot on. So let me describe this beauty for you. Picture the pyramid again, but this time at the very base, the foundation upon which all British existence rests, we have, drum roll please, niceness. Yeah, being nice. Being nice is non-negotiable. It's the first rule of being British. You must smile politely at strangers. Say sorry even when someone else bumped into you, and generally exude a level of passive politeness that ensures no one's day is ruined by any kind of confrontation. Now, if you live in London, this smiling politely, this is hard to witness when in commute mode. Yeah, I think we have this different mode that we go into when commuting in London. So try to ignore this side of British people for this hierarchy of needs. Think of that as a separate world, the commuting in London, okay? All right, so moving up, we get to passive-aggressive banter. This is where the real fun begins because Brits are known for subtle digs wrapped in smiles. Think, you've made an effort today. Or that's one way to do it. It's a rite of passage, and if you can't banter passive-aggressively, dare I say, you may struggle to survive a pub chat. Okay, next tier, small talk. Yeah, small talk. Ideally, about the weather. This one's a sacred one. Small talk keeps our society functioning. And what better topic than the weather? You might hear, bit nippy today, isn't it? Yeah. Or, can't believe it's raining again. These are practically British mantras. And you get bonus points, I think, if you mention the unpredictability of it all, despite it being predictable. And then up from small talk, we've hit self-deprecation. This is a biggie. Brits love to take themselves down a peg, or several. The normal phrase is take somebody down a peg or two. But we like to do multiple. So take yourself down a peg or several. Think like, I'm useless at this. Or, I don't know how I've made it this far, to be honest. Humility is key, and self-deprecation is the ultimate badge of honour for Brits. Right, in the middle. And I think he's done this ironically, being the middle of the pyramid. We find sandwiches, brackets, and meal deals. So good. We bloody love a sandwich. And before, when it was actually a good deal, getting a meal deal and tucking into a lovely sandwich, possibly, hopefully from M&S, is the pinnacle of all work lunches. So yeah, sandwiches has got to be right in the middle of the hierarchy of British needs. Next, we have self-sufficiency. Self-sufficiency. Being able to just get on with it is part of the British psyche. Stiff upper lip and all that. No fuss, no drama, just keep calm and carry on. I'm sure you've seen a poster like that. It has been done over and over again, the poster of just keep calm and carry on, which does tap into self-sufficiency. And beyond that, we got up to carbohydrates. Yeah, bread, potatoes, pasta, the carbs. These carbs are a British love language, according to Adam Fletcher. A Sunday roast needs those potatoes, right? Fish and chips, well, you don't just have fish, do you? You can't skimp on the chips. So, yeah, what have we got so far? We've got niceness at the bottom, passive-aggressive banter just above that, small talk above that, self-deprecation above that, sandwiches and meal deals above that, self-sufficiency follows, and then carbohydrates. And now we're at carbohydrates. So what is next, eh? What do we think? Once we've established all of those needs, what do we look for next? Well, in comes binge drinking. We often say, we'll just have one. We'll just have one. But it's never true. It's never true when you go to the pub. Most people end up having a binge drinking session, whether it's the pub after work or a big Saturday night. Binge drinking is an unspoken part of British socialising, whether you like it or not. And let's be honest, it usually ends with a kebab as well. Yeah, so binge drinking plus kebab, maybe. Okay, so we've satisfied some food and some drink. And what do we want to do outside of drinking heavily, or maybe with some beers? We've got a very specific one. It's Sky TV. Sky TV. I don't know if you've noticed this, but a lot of English pubs around the world have a Sky TV logo. And this is telling British people that we put on the football, the rugby, or anything that, you know, a Brit typically wants to watch at the pub. But Sky TV traditionally is for the home. We install a TV membership through satellite and we get all of the channels that we love to binge on. So yes, this stage is all about telly, the football, the rugby. Binge watching a whole box set of Downton Abbey. Sky TV gives Brits their well-deserved relaxation time. And finally, at the very peak, the pinnacle of British needs, there it is, tea. Now, I know what you're probably thinking. Why is tea so bloody high up in the list? Tea is obviously a basic British need, like oxygen, swearing, and chocolate biscuits. Surely it belongs at the bottom of this pyramid, right next to niceness. Well, Adam Fletcher addresses this himself, and it's quite brilliant. He says, and I quote, "Tea should be at the bottom, and it would have been, were it not for the inflexible shape of pyramids, and thus my need to find a 3-letter word for the summit. Please forgive this flagrant distortion of truth." So there you go. Tea reigns supreme at the top, not because it's less important, but because, well, it's a 3-letter word, and pyramids are tricky to shape. Okay, so let's review this pyramid now that we've gone through all of them. I'd like you to imagine you're a Brit moving to another country. Yeah, you're moving abroad, and perhaps you'd start by searching for some niceness around you, while, of course, being as nice as possible to everyone you meet. Then, once you've found those nice people, you'd start dishing out some passive-aggressive banter, because you bottle up all of those emotions because you're being so nice all the time, right? And once you've had a little bit of banter, then you'd start looking for someone to share some small talk with around weather on a regular basis, hopefully. And once that's satisfied, in comes self-deprecation as a form of humour. After satisfying that, you obviously look for a good meal deal or sandwich, which is often very hard to find outside of the UK. So most Brits get stuck at this point and can't reach the next level, which is self-sufficiency. Because you know, we need a sandwich to keep calm and carry on. But if you do find a way to do so, you'll then be hunting for some fish and chips or carbs in many forms, followed by a good old binge drinking session. And, well, then you go home and you realize your TV's channels are all in a different language. So, yeah, you miss your Sky TV. So you better find a guy that illegally installs it on your telly. Because you can't not watch Match of the Day. I mean, what would you talk about with your friends if you didn't know why the Chelsea manager was recently sacked? And then finally, at the top is tea. Not because it equates to self-actualization, but merely because it's a 3-letter word. So, yeah, I like this. It should help you see what we value. I could see someone making a case for the order being arranged differently if we were to follow Maslow's rules to a T, but this book is more of a light-hearted reflection, and I'm excited for you to listen to the conversation I had with the author of this book next week. So, yeah, make sure you don't miss that. Until then, put the kettle on, grab a biscuit, and how about you reflect on how beautifully this pyramid represents us all, and maybe start thinking about your culture's hierarchy of needs. Remember to check out Adam's book in the show notes or search Understanding the British on Amazon. But that's it for today. Thank you very much for getting to the end of this one with me. As always, if you did want the manually edited transcripts, glossaries made especially for non-natives, and flashcards for you to revise on the go, then check out the premium podcast. And if you wanted all of that, plus a load of video lessons, breaking down the vocabulary, audios, quizzes, marked writing assignments, and Zoom lessons to connect with other like-minded learners, then you'll want to check out the Academy. If not, then I'll look forward to simply seeing you next week for another episode of the British English Podcast. Bye-bye. Thanks for listening to today's episode. Before you go, don't forget to download the free vocab worksheet specifically designed for this episode so that you can go away feeling satisfied that you've got your listening practice in for the day and expanded your vocabulary. You can find the link in the show notes or visit thebritishenglishpodcast.com/worksheet. That's thebritishenglishpodcast.com/worksheet. What's more is you'll unlock the vocabulary worksheet for every single episode in one go. You're welcome. Happy learning.